and I really haven't done anything at all to this. Although this is interesting. This is from a job I did in Shepherdstown, and I
Yeah.
don't see where that is in my model.
It's not. If you go back to the survey plat, and now you're still in paper space, don't click in the viewport, just select it. Just select that text.
Oh, text?
Yeah, it's sitting in paper.
Oh,
Okay,
okay, just delete it.
yeah,
Okay.
all
Oh,
right.
I did have a question about the other day. So every time I go in and I use GIS,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to use it in a file, even if I'm only bringing in the photography, I've still got to go up and do
The settings, yeah.
GIS settings.
Yeah, if you bring the photography in by that ESRI ArcGIS services, but if you
Yeah.
go to the images menu and load a Google Earth image, you don't need to do that.
Okay.
So, but it won't hurt if you do it, even if you don't use it, so.
Okay, one of the jobs I really haven't even set it up today, and I was hoping that we would have time for you to show me how to use Google Earth, going to the map and doing it. But
Okay.
we may not have time. I've got to sign out of here by about 3 o'clock. So let's see how much we can get done.
Okay, you let me know.
Okay, so
All right, so what is it that you're wanting to do right now?
location inset.
Oh, okay. So what I would do with this is this is gonna be our main working drawing, but we're gonna use this file to be able to do that location inset by itself. And then we're gonna reference that file into the other, or back into this file. So the first step right here is let's go up to the file menu and choose save as. And call it, Herbst location or whatever you want to call it, or just location inset and keep it in this folder, however you want to do that.
Gonna stay at DWG.
Yes, it'll be a DWG. You can just type the name, it'll put DWG on it, so. Yeah, and just hit save. All right, so now we are in the location inset drawing, and we can actually, but we've inherited everything that we've been using before, which is fine. So let's do this in our location inset. Like we're not going to show the points or any of that kind of stuff. But we do want to have that generalized overall outline. So we're going to keep that line work. So I would go up to the points menu and just choose erase points. And you're going to select from the screen. Or just type, yeah, S for screen. There you go. Select and you can either type the word all or just draw a window around it, whatever you want to do. Okay. And now enter to finish. And now don't delete them from your coordinate file. You want to say no to that. And now you want to delete both. Okay, so we have our line work. Now, let's get rid of any of the extra stuff that we don't need in this particular map. And so what I want to do is let's go up and well, let's turn on and let's thaw and turn on all layers. You can do that on the view menu. And down toward the bottom where it says thaw/on all layers, up about 3 more right there. Do that. All right, so that's got some things in it which we don't need in this file. So just click on the edge of the image and hit delete. And now you can do a erase by layer, which is again on your layers toolbar. Looks like the pencil eraser in the stack of colored layers. Not that toolbar up at the top. That's the properties. Keep going to the right. And right that, whoop, you just passed it. Back. Right, pencil eraser. One more back, right there. Click on that. And now you can either pick them from the list or you can pick them from the screen. Either way, and you're just going to pick one of each of the contours. Yeah, go ahead and just make, yeah, there's a green one. Go back and click again. See, there you go, perfect. And now just hit enter, because I think our labels are on that same thing, and then just hit OK. All right, now we've got some more points that were frozen, so you can just draw a window around those points to select the points. Just another quick way of doing it.
Oops, I missed one. Oops, I still missed it.
Go up above to the left, and now drag down to the right. There you go. And just hit delete, and then get that one in the corner gone. That's the same thing, by the way, as erase points by screen and not by coordinate file.
Okay.
All right, so now there's a couple of doubled up lines down there where you're resolving the properties. You can, if you need that.
I don't need it for the location and set.
Oh, wait a second. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and request remote control just in case I need. So now if you,
Yeah, I'm hitting approve and nothing's happening there.
there we go. So now like if you need this to be shown,
Yeah, I do.
yeah, so what we're, and yet we're gonna keep this as the overall across the bottom.
Right.
So I'm gonna do this as a trim. And I'm just come down here and trim off this. And we got another deal here. Let's see, that one was just that one line. We can get rid of that. And we've got this one, which we can.
Actually, can get rid of that whole thing, I think. No, you can't either.
No, because we need that boundary there, right? And we need whatever this is up here.
Yeah, no, I need those two.
Yeah, so what I would do is I would just take this and go, just what did we do? Okay, yeah, there, and then take that back to there, and then maybe just pull this guy in. Just now, obviously, you're not resolving your boundaries here at this point. You're just getting the lines not to overlap.
Right.
And let's get my intersection right there. And I think that's good. Yeah, you'll never see that. So this is going to be the line work that we're going to see in the overall location. Now, what is the actual main property that you want to show in the location? You'll show them all, but do you have like a big one that you want to show the overall perimeter?
This.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna draw a little line to make that one heavier, but instead of trying to, snap to the endpoints, and that'd be okay. You could do that, just snap to the endpoints all the way around. But there's a quicker way, and it works sort of backwards from the shrink wrap, and it's called boundary polyline. So if you go to the draw menu, and right down below the midline, right there, boundary polyline. What that's going to do is that's going to create a line, and I would put it on a layer. I would just call it, just type. Well, you don't have one in there. So yeah. So now for the layer name, I would just type, BDY dash main or something, because that's just your main boundary. So say okay to that. Now we want to do a 2D, and we're going to pick inside. So that part's all good. We say okay. And now just pick on the inside of that property anywhere, just right there. Oh, it's not closed. Okay, let me see here. All right, let's see, let's press escape. Oops, I did there now. So we've got, let me see what we got. We've got this. Let's go ahead and make that a closed. So that's closed. And now this has to be on that corner, which it is. And this is probably not sitting exactly on that endpoint. Now it is. That one I know was. Now let's try that command again. So draw boundary polyline. Oh, you passed it. Right there. Everything's good. Say okay. Now click in the middle and want your prompts. And it says, okay, it's created. So just hit enter to finish. Now go to your layers and we're going to take that BDY main. Which is right there. Select that and make that, I'd make it red just so you can see it. And then we're going to make it over on the line weight where it says default, you're going to make that 0.5. Okay, now when you close off, you should see that standing out. So that's going to be the main one. The others are going to be lighter weight, but still show up. Okay, so now that is what we're going to use. Now that you also brought across this survey plat document. I think you had it up there as a 1 inch equals 400 foot inset. But what we're going to do is let's go back to that survey plat.
I have no idea what the inset's gonna be. That's from an old
Yeah,
plot.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we don't know what it needs to be. But if you now double click inside that little view frame up there, I'm sorry, no, not on the text, press escape. Inside the viewport itself, right in there. All right, now you want to do a zoom extents. Oh, no, let's see. I didn't want to, I wanted, oh, I know why. I know why. If we need to unlock this viewport. So if we select that viewport and now go down to where it's locked, we want to say no. Now double click inside it and do a zoom extents. All right, now click outside it, double click outside it for a minute. Now let's go, I see that we've got some other stuff over here in our model space. So if I do a zoom extents here, there we go. So we've got some stuff up here that we don't need. In fact, instead of trying to track those down individually, I'm just going to come down to here. And now you're going to go to the edit menu and choose erase outside. Up, back up right there and choose outside, erase outside. There you go. Now just click upper left, lower right, or lower left, upper right. Just you don't snap to it. Just somewhere, no, out in space. Yeah, right in there. Click and drag to where you get everything you want. There you go, like that. Now everything's gone. If you do a zoom extents now, you'll see that that's the extents. Now go back to survey plat and double click inside the viewport again. Now the zoom extents. Now double click outside of it. Now zoom out so you can see it. So now we want to go now because that viewport is still fluid, it's changing scale. If you double click inside it, and then use your wheel to zoom out to where it's gonna, and position it, sort of in the middle of that little frame to the size that you think you're gonna want to see. You're gonna want to see some stuff around the outside edges of it. And you can, pan the view and sort of get it centered. Just press and hold, there you go. And then, but then, make it small enough so that you're gonna have enough stuff on the outside that you can tell where you are. Okay, and I don't know, what the roads might be like around there where you are, but that's okay. Okay, so now, if that's gonna be about the size you're gonna do, now double click outside again. Now select your viewport and look at its, look in the properties, and you see it says it's got a custom scale of 0.000435. Probably the nearest nominal scale would be 0.0005. So click in there and let's see what that does to our size. So 0.0005. That's too many, I think. I think it was only 3. There you go. Now hit enter. All right, so it'd be about that size. Is that about what you might want to do?
Yeah.
All right, so we need to now figure out what that size is in terms of a standard scale. So a 0.0005, let me get the calculator out here. So that's 1 inch equals 0.0005. That's 2,000. That's 1 to 2,000.
That's perfect. That's what they want.
Well, that's a ratio. That's 1 to 2,000, which is 1 inch equals 167 feet.
Oh, really?
Well, 166.6667. If you multiply that by 12, that gives 2,000. So if you want 1 inch equals 2,000 feet, that's 1 to 24,000. And
Are you sure that's custom scales of ratio? Because I mean, just looking at the drawing, it can't possibly, I mean, I know how long that line is.
Oh, let me see. Yeah, that may be right. Click anywhere just to, or press escape to deselect it. Now go back to your model space for a minute. And down where it's, let's go up to, how long is that back line about?
This line?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me inverse it real quick.
Right.
2,923 feet.
All right, so that's about 3,000 feet. All right, so if we press escape and then let's go back to the survey plat for a minute. And staying in paper space, so that's about 3,000 feet. If we stay in paper space and just do a standard distance, and we'll be in paper space, so it's going to be like 3 or something. 1.5. So that's 1.5 inches. So that's about, that's about 1 inch equals 2,000 feet. So yeah, oh, you know what? I know what it is. So that ratio that we have here, that's a ratio of paper space units, which are inches, to the drawing space units, which are feet. So that one is directly 1 inch equals 2,000. So that's exactly right.
Okay.
So
So lock it then.
Well, yeah, not quite yet. I want to actually, because I'm sure you don't have a 1 inch equals 2,000 annotation scale in here yet. But if we go back to model space, And I'm going to set that up so that we have that annotation scale available in our list down here, because see, right now we don't have it in here anywhere.
Okay,
So easiest way to do that is to come up here to Carlson settings and set this to 2000. And then I'm going to also set this LT scale back to 1. And that should be okay. Now, notice down here at the bottom, we now have this 1 inch equals 2000 feet.
okay,
Okay, so that's what I was after. So now that's our annotation scale for that. And if you were to put a point or a text, it would be at 0.08 or 0.1 inches tall at that scale. So that's what we were after. And so now we come back to here and we select our viewport. And now you see the standard scale shows up.
yeah,
And the annotation scale, though, is set to 1:1. So we want to change that to match that 1 inch equals 2000, if I can find it. There it is. All right, so now everything is good to go. Now you can lock it. Go ahead. And the reason I went to the effort to set the annotation scale up to match that is so back over in the model space, you can do some of your annotation over there and it will show up at the right size over here for what you want it to be. Okay. In terms of plotted inches. Now you might as well go ahead and change your location map. 1 inch equals 400 feet. Edit that text so that it's correct and you don't forget to do it like I would. There you go. And click off and then click one more time anywhere to hit enter, whatever, to finish. There we go. All right, so I would save this at this point. Now let's go back to model and let's get whatever it is we want to show around it. Streets or images. So I'd zoom out a little bit. Yeah, so in fact, let's do this. Let's go back to survey plat one more time. Yeah, down there, right. And double click inside that red frame, the inset. Yeah, double click in there. Now now that we're there, we're going to draw just draw a rectangle. So we're going to either get it from the toolbar or no, don't do it from there. Pull down the draw menu and choose rectangle, which is right there. Yeah. Now click all the way down to the left and get that. We're trying to draw the extents of our little window here so we know when we're putting together. So go ahead and grab the lower corner. See if it'll, yeah, see it disappears. You want to get it where it's still just barely visible. Right there is fine. Click and drag up and to the right. Do the same thing up there and get it to where it's still, there you go, click. Okay, now, we're going to erase that when we're done, but we've got something to work with now. So let's go back to the model tab and zoom out. So there now is the size of that inset out in the real world. All right, so that's what we're going to use. And we're going to make sure when we put stuff in that we're, say lower left out here and upper right out here. So there's a little bit of spillover and we can clip it with that other shape. So at this point now, let's go to the GIS module. There we go. And let's set the data files if we need to. Let's see, GIS settings. And yep, you can just select there and just hit the new tab. And I would just call it, GIS data or something. Just type the word. There you go. Hit open. Now for the next one, you're going to hit the select button. And you're going to hit the select button one more time. and you're going to type the same thing, GIS data. And hit open. All right, so now you're, oh yeah, that's all right. We didn't switch to the new tab. That's fine. Say yes, create it now. And say okay. And finally, okay. All right, so now we're set. We've got our containers built to hold our data. Let's go to the GIS data menu. And let's try and see what we have available first in the different places. So let's look at the Esri Arc GIS services and see what that gives us first. And when that comes up, we're going to change the server layer, that world imagery. Let's see if we've got any street or hybrid. We got world, street map, world terrain, world topo, world physical, shaded relief. World reference. You have boundaries and places, reference. Look at that world trans. Now let's look at the Delorme world base map for a minute. Let's see if that gives us streets. All right, click, and that should be fine. Say okay. And now pick outside the lower left of that blue box, just anywhere. Yeah, somewhere there. Click and then go up to the right, and same thing there. All right. And let's see what that gives us, if anything. Now we're going to give it a name. We'll just call it, I would call it Delorme, Delorme. And that'd be fine. Or Delorme Streets, anything you want, just that's fine. Save. Yeah, it may be something that's totally unusable. We'll see. Give it a second to download. Right, and that looks horrible. So let's just
delete it.
Yep. Well, yeah, answer the question on the prompt. So just hit enter to end. And now select it and delete it. All right, let's try that again now. Let's go back to GIS data and look at the Esri ArcGIS services. Keep coming down right there. And let's just go back to the world imagery this time, because I think that's going to get us what we need on down world imagery. Or let's try world street map first. It's the third up from the bottom. Right there. Because that may be better. Now let's say okay to that. And when it asks for a file, or well, click your outside corners. There you go. Now when it asks for a file, call that world streets. Say save. And we'll wait on this one and see if it's any better. If not, we'll just get the aerial and then we'll see about getting the other streets in here in a minute. I think one of those also, Mike, is you could put your traditional USGS quad sheet behind it as well. I think that's one of the choices, but. that
Yeah,
might-
that's probably good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, now that's. All right, so what we have, let's see. So you've got. Charlestown Road and Timberview Drive and all those show up pretty nicely. I'm not all that well pleased with the shading on it. And there's no way we can change that really.
Let's see what it looks like on in the actual location instead.
Yeah, let's see there.
Well, I'd have to go in and label the streets better, I guess.
Yeah. Well, let's see here a minute. Let's do a real quick. Just want this 18 by 24. Say okay, we're gonna just give it a test. See what it looks like. We'll just call it, let's go up here to your Herbst. Was that,
It's a 22.
there we go. And let's just call it, well, just leave it at that at the moment. Now go ahead and if it doesn't automatically, go ahead and open that up. There we go. Now, when you look at that, and this is how it would plot. If we go up there and zoom in. Yeah, see, it's really just unacceptable. But it gives us some data. All right, so let's close this off and see if we can fine tune that a little bit. So let's come back here and there's a couple of options. We've got your stuff is drawn. And we could take the time to draw these roads in there, but that's what we're trying to avoid. We don't want to have to do all that mess in there like that. So
Right.
let's try a different option here.
You want to see what USGS looks like?
Yeah, let's see if we can find that on this list. Let's see, here's the
NGS topo, US2D, is that it?
there. Yeah. All right, so let's try that. And we'll come down here, go up here. And we'll just call that NGS topo.
Did you ever hear back from Chuck Sager?
Not that I did hear back. I talked to him on the phone a couple times. He said he would open it up and check into it. He said it'd be the first of the week because he had some people over at the house and all that. So hadn't heard anything yet.
Okay.
But that was the main problem he was having is he's got such an old version of AutoCAD, it wasn't able to look at your file.
I think he's still thinking about Carlson, but he's worried that the learning curve is too steep and he's too old. And I said, you have a much bigger advantage over me because you have a lot of AutoCAD experience and a lot of CAD experience in general. You wouldn't be starting from ground zero like I did.
Yeah, that's true. And you're doing great with this stuff, Mike. I'm really proud of what you're doing.
Thank you.
And they're, the bottom line at the end of the day, what shows up is what you have your name on, and that's those plats, and those plats are really nice and professional looking. I think they're really well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good.
There we go. All
That's
righty.
it.
Okay, now, what I would suggest that we do is let's select that. Um, sorry. I had to finish the command. All right, so let's select the image and let's give it a little bit of fade here and see what that does for us. We give it like a 50% fade and then look at it over here. You want to see it more.
You mean less fade?
I mean less. Yeah, you want to see it more, uh, a little richer. Now there, it's not quite as washed out looking. Of course, you're gonna have things like this because that's, where one sheet joined the other, so you can't get around that kind of stuff.
Right,
That's just
right.
part of the imagery. Now, if we go, let's turn it all the way down to 0 and see if that's, I don't want that to detract from this. You see how the contour lines are the same weight and shading as all this kind of stuff. You can't really see it
Right.
well. But now the other thing is too, you could have, you could bring in the aerial map and, it would have the imagery and you'd see the road. You'd have to type the names in. Of course, I guess we have to type the names in here anyway. If you need the name of the road. Or if you think that shows them well enough where it is, then, you could just let it go, because right there's your county boundary. You got this area called Manning's, and these are some recognized places. There's, some kind of,
Well, why don't we let it go like that and see what their reaction is?
that'd be fine. So that would do it. And now I would go back here and I'm gonna see what layer that's on right now, called trim boundary. Yeah, let's just freeze that layer. I want to keep that there in case you ever want to go back to it. So I'm going to freeze by pick and I'm going to pick that trim boundary. And now you see it's not going to show up over here and it's trimmed all nice and neat inside that line. Okay.
Yeah.
And a couple other things you might want to do is, if you want, you could do this, which is what I typically do. Sometimes the bold outline may be enough, but I would sometimes want to do a little hatch on that. So I'm gonna do a boundary hatch and I'm going to change it to this solid. And I'm going to make it sort of this grayish looking 252. And I'm just going to pick the entity, which is that red outline. And now there it is. And then if we look at it over here, it's going to look like that.
Yeah, that looks really good, I think.
Okay.
Maybe we could just label it as site.
Yep. So I would now back over here, and this is the reason I set this up to your 1 inch equals 2000. So now when you label it, you're going to put in text at the plotted size you want. Now I'm going to take that that hatch. Let's see if I can do this a little bit. If I make that a little bit lighter, say 253, and let's look at this transparency. Now you get a little bit of bleed through here so you can see underneath it. That looks good. Now the problem with that using IntelliCAD, I don't know if they fixed this yet or not. If we go to plot it, sometimes it says it doesn't support using print styles and transparency, but we'll, yeah, see here it says is transparency is turned on and a print style table is specified, and this combination is not currently supported. So we don't want to do it, but let's take a look at seeing if we can trick it. We'll see what happens. And if not, nothing lost to it. It's just going to be a solid gray. Come on. Okay. Yeah, we tricked it. It's showing through anyway, even though we didn't use transparency. All
Okay,
right, so that's good. Now, the other one last little thing you might want to do is you see that GI, that boundary that's red here. And since
Yeah.
you're using the colored quad sheet anyway, you might want to have that plot as red. And to do that, we have to set that layer color to a specific number because I've got everything turned, everything red is going to plot as black with your plot table. But there's one particular color, and it's the same color that I used for the viewports so that you can see them when you're over there, and that sheet is red. And it's this color 241, which looks sort of pinkish here, and you'll see it's sort of pinkish looking there, but if when you're here, you see it's red.
Mhm.
And let's do one last bit by selecting that and bringing it up above the edges. There we go. And so now,
Should I go ahead and type site in there?
yeah, so, and I would do it over here so you're not leaving stuff in paper space floating around. So
Okay,
now go ahead and choose your draw text and all that. And I would, you can change the style later if you want to. Now it's, well, when you're doing like height of text here, it's asking for a ground height. Press escape on this. This is the standard CAD tool. I want to use the Carlson tool so that you can specify inches. So go to the draw menu again and choose text. And now this time, let's choose, let's choose, see what they give us. Let's try the text wizard, see if that allows us to pick the plotted size. All right, so text string is just going to be site. And I would say use, use mtext if you ever need to get multiple lines. It won't hurt to go ahead and use it. And you want it centered. And we're going to have it be horizontal. Now, that's what I was looking for. See that text size scaler?
yeah,
It's plotted inches. So if you want like a 1/4 inch tall piece of text that says site, you would type 0.25. And now uncheck the current drawing properties unless you're happy with those. It's going to go on a thing called label. That could be fine. All right, so now, yeah, so you can just place it wherever it needs to go. Okay, and so now when you go back to the survey plat, you're going to see that's going to be that same size in that same spot, and it's going to be black because that white color is set to plot black. Now, that might or might not be bigger than you want it to be.
I
So
think it should be just a tiny bit smaller.
yeah, so select it. And now over on the side, now you get that paper text height. So make that say like 0.175 or 0.15 or something. Well, I wouldn't make it 0.75. That's going to be like,
Gigantic.
yeah, 0.175 would be what you want. Well, now it's back to 0.25 like you had it. So make that point. Well, 0.125 would be half that height. That'd be 1/8 of an inch. All right, so that looks like it would be good. Let's go back to, or press escape and then go back to survey plat. And
Yeah,
look at
that's good.
that. Okay. Now your north arrow that's in there, I don't want it to get lost in the contours up there. So
It's good enough.
yeah, then that'd be fine.
It's
And you know,
handed
you can move that around up to the other corner. Now, remember, that's a paper space item. It's just floating over it. So, you know, you could just select it and then move it over to the upper right edge where the contours are a little less. There you go. You know, just whatever you need to do with it is fine. You know, it's fine to have left it where it was. It doesn't matter.
Okay, now, how do I bring this into my regular drawing?
Okay, now we're good. You saved the drawing here.
Okay,
And yep. And so now go back to that other drawing, and you can leave this one open if we need to go back to it if you want, but. Okay. And so now, just somewhere off to the side, because you're going to be using this to annotate your stuff. So zoom out and just go off to the side somewhere. Do we want to do it this way? Let me think. Hang on a second. Let me try something first. Let's go to survey plat. Down at the bottom. There you go. Now, let's just,
I thought I deleted those.
yeah, but we're not gonna go, yeah, go ahead and select those and get rid of them.
I guess I did that on the other drawing.
Correct, that's correct. And you can take that location map. In fact, we're going to probably, because that's all part of that. Oh, well, actually, no, leave that there and just change it to 2000. We did it on the other drawing just so we could see it while we're working with it. So really, we don't need that. We don't even need that survey plat layout space in the other drawing, but it won't hurt it to leave it there. All right, so we've got that done. Now, let's see if we can just, without even going in the viewport, if we we'll go ahead and finish your command, and then let's xref that file here into paper space. So we go up to set our external reference. And let's go over into the right-hand part, right click and choose new external or attached down at the bottom would be, there you go. And there's that location inset. Go ahead and choose that and say open. And now you see it's asking for an insertion point.
Yeah.
And so that's right now that insertion point is like way down below somewhere. So if we zoomed I want to see if this is going to be the way to do it here or not, but I don't think it's going to be. All right, now let's see where that wound up. Your stuff is going to be way down here at 0. Reach the limits of zoom, zoom extends. And yeah, that's going to be too. I think that's going to be too problematic to do it that way. So let's go back to this other way. I'm going to go over here, use external references, and I'm going to, oh, we got 2 of them here. All right, now, if we go back to here. All right, let's just get off to the side. Well, I tell you, instead of being off to the side, we'll just do it like this. If we XREF, and then we'll move it once it's in. So we're going to attach location inset. And we'll just type 00, enter, 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 enter. And now we're going to close this, and that should be right over top of where we are. That's fine. So we're going to take this now and say, we're going to select it, and that's the entire XREF. And we will move, and we're just going to put it somewhere out here. Okay, and now back to survey plat. We're going to select our viewport, unlock it. And we're going to set our annotation scale. We should have that 2000 XREF. That's fine. And actually, we need to, while I'm in here, let me see where we are. Whoops. Explains a lot. No. All right, so let me get inside of it. Zoom extents. Now I'm going to bring this down sort of in the middle. So click out of it, select this, and now set this back up to 1 to 2000. And double click in it. I'm going to pan it up here. Now I've zoomed a little bit because I rolled the wheel a little bit. So I'm going to come back and set that back to 2000. All right. And let's see, we're a little bit, need to move it just a little bit to get that corner. Let's see, might as well get as much of that as we can. That's good. We select it, we lock it. And we verify that the scales are all set, everything looks good. And there now it is, and you could all right.
Beautiful.
So the process there then was, because when we look at this file, this location inset file, this is still at your West Virginia coordinates. So 00 is way down to the left, right?
Yeah.
But we use that so we can get this quad sheet in and all that kind of stuff. So when we do that, when we're in this file, we want to go over to model space, and we're just going to attach that file with 00, same coordinates, and it's going to line up right over top of it, but you need that out of your way while you're working. So that's when you select just that, the edge of that image, and just move it, just drag it over somewhere out of the way. And then in here is where you have to unlock the viewport, double click inside it, do a zoom extents, and sort of get centered over where we move that to. And then double click out of it, select the viewport, set your scaling up. And then if you have to go back into it and pan it, do a little adjustment to it, and just keep doing that until you get it centered up where you want it to be. And then make sure the scales are set, for when you're doing this last thing, make sure those scales are what they need to be. And by the way, it comes in and says 1 inch equals 2000 _ XREF, because it's reading that out of that file. You didn't have it in your file, but
Right.
it brought it in for you to use. So, and once that's there and everything's to your liking, lock the viewport and you're good to go. Okay,
You got time to do one more?
yeah, sure. Quick second though, while we're here, I want to come back to this location inset. And I'm gonna go to survey plat. I'm gonna actually delete this entire thing. Um, and it'll come back and it should say layout one here in a minute. All right, so layout one is there. We don't really care what that looks like. Because every bit of this stuff is done in model space, and we had that, remember that frame is on that frozen layer called clipping boundary or whatever it's called.
Okay, so what did you just delete?
I deleted that survey layout paper space tab,
Okay,
which you have over here. See, when we did a save as, we brought this whole thing came with it.
right,
Okay. We don't need that in that location map. The location map, if we had known, now we kept it there and worked with it so we could, make sure it all looked okay, did everything that we wanted. But now that you have that little blue frame on that frozen layer, as long as whenever you're doing this in another file, as long as this is all set up to the same type of specification, the same size and position, then you're good to go.
okay,
Then that keeps this file. And in fact, I'm going to do not only that, but we're going to clean it up a little bit here. We're going to go to the drawing utilities, and I'm going to first run an audit just in case there's any issues with it. And I see there were 327 errors that it found and fixed. I'm going to then also go back to the file, drawing utilities, and I'm going to purge. And I'm going to purge nested items, automatically orphaned, and purge all. And then close. And then I'm going to save it. Now that's got that file trimmed down to only its essential components. Okay.
okay,
Line styles, layers. If you look at your layers now, you're only going to see a couple of layers here.
okay,
Okay. So everything should be good to go there. So now, with that done there, and we've got this done, I'm going to go ahead and close that one off. Here's this one. We're going to save it. And now go to another one. I'm going to step you through with the stages to take this from there to where you need to be.
okay,
All right.
okay. First, I guess I should turn this off.
Yep. Or if you don't need it, you can even delete it. It's up to you. But if you
Well,
freeze,
it'll be nice to have when I'm
yeah. So
out in the field.
there we go. Now you've got this stuff, and so what we're going to do now is let's go, or press escape now to finish that command. Now let's open, you called that other thing location inset, and it's in the Herbst folder. Okay, so let's go back and open that file. So if we go to file menu and you pull down and see that list of the recent files down there below, you see the location inset. Go ahead and open that up. Okay. Now this is the Herbst file. So we're going to go right now immediately and say file save as, and you're going to put it with the same name in whatever folder you're in now.
Oh,
There it is, say save. Okay. Now, you want to, at this point, select the image and hit delete. And I would just,
I didn't hit delete. I hit
Oh.
escape.
sorry. Yeah, now I would select everything that, well, actually, well, leave everything there at the moment. Let's go back and turn on your layer that was frozen, that trim boundary, clipping boundary. No.
Oh.
Yeah, just go to your layers and see that one that's frozen, trim boundary. Yeah, turn that on. So now we got that. We know where that's going to be. All right, now with this done, select with a window everything that's drawn in the inside of that. Okay, and just move it off to the side. We're going to use that to match some properties if we need to. Okay, for right now, we're going to do that. And we'll also go over and borrow that word site and we'll just move it back into place. So now we have what we're going to make for this file. So how do we get that? Now, what we did before, when we copied the file and called it location inset, we had all that stuff in place already. So, but what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to that file, the Shockley file. And we're going to select, that's probably just that boundary is probably all we really need, right?
Yeah.
So if you select that and now right click and up 5 up from the bottom where it says clipboard. And you're going to copy with a base point.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Escape.
Copy with a base point, and it's going to ask you for a base point type 0,0. Hit enter. Now go back to your location inset and type, or right click rather, and choose clipboard and choose paste to original coordinates. Now it's not going to come into this frame yet. That's okay. So go ahead and do that. And now it's done. Now you want to take all of this stuff here. We're going to move it over to where that came in. We don't see it yet. You can zoom extents and you can see, all right, so there it is. So now we're not going to move the red stuff because we want that where it is. We're going to draw a window around that frame and that other thing where it says the stuff we're going to borrow. Well, select the frame first, the blue frame. Now click on that center location. Click and then just move it up into place, sort of centered in that other one, right in there somewhere, wherever you think you need to. There you go. Now you've got, now if you wanted to move that other stuff closer to have it at hand, you could, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so now you've got the frame that you're going to work with. And I would go ahead and let's match properties of that red line that you brought in that's on some, probably on boundary. You're going to match it with the pink one. So you're going to match your properties up, top, and keep going over right there. Okay, and when it asks the from, you want to get the pinkish looking one. There you go. And then go up to the red one and apply it. There you go. Perfect. Hit enter. And now let's do our GIS bit. And now before you set the data files, go ahead and pull that down. Let me see something where it says GIS data and go to GIS settings. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. It keeps the previous things that you had set. Now that would probably be okay if you're not doing any other kind of work in it, but I would get in the habit of just making new ones and storing them where you have your drawings. So I'd leave the names just like they are, just pull that Herbst Carlson list down and choose your current folder, the Shockley, and go to the new tab now, where it's up the top, and just call it GIS data. Down at the bottom, you see the recent files where it says recent files at the bottom. Just click that. And now if we, well, no, yeah, sorry. All right, so if we click here, I need to get all of this path information out. I just want to use that same name and I want to put this back to Shockley is where we are, right?
Right.
All right, so there we go. Now we do open. And now
Oh, we're in the wrong Shockley.
okay. So let's go to that and then
Two Shockleys.
that should be the file that you're currently writing in right now, the 23008 Shockley.
Yep, that's it. Sorry, that is
Oh,
it.
okay. All right, no problem. And say new, say open. And now we're going to do the same thing for the bottom one. I'll let you drive, hit the select button. And hit the select button again. And we'll keep that name. GIS data is fine. We're going to pull down the top list and make sure it points to our Shockley folder at the
Oh, it's
top.
on existing, should it be on new?
Yeah, but you can do either one, whichever order. You're not setting it yet. So go ahead and choose that. Go back to new and just type GIS data. There you go. Open. Okay and okay. There you go. So now, yep. Yep. Looks like it's already set. Okay. Now you got to give it a name for the image that it's going to, I would call it NGS topo. And just hit save. See, it's asking you for that file name because what it's doing is it's downloading all the data, it's reprojecting it into your coordinate space, and then it's creating an image file, and then it attaches it to this location. So you'll see out in those drawing folders, you'll see those PNG files. They're just images. But you'll probably also see a world file that goes with it, which tells it where the lower left pixel goes. Okay. Is that looks like,
That's not, that's in the wrong place. That's back up at Manning's.
yeah, I was gonna say that looks like the same thing we had before. Huh, let me see something. West Virginia North, that's all good. It says here Herbst, but it's actually Shockley. Is that with a C or no?
Yes.
All right,
No, it's not. That's good. Well, you have it.
all right. And what's your job number there? Just
It's 20. 22026.
oh, wait. Oh, crap.
Oh, we're
I
still in
know,
Herbst.
there's a reason why this happened. Let me see. Oh, no, this is good. All right. So we're in the Shockley location. All right, so. Yeah, so this is. Shockley, Shockley. And it was, what was that number again?
23008.
Yeah, okay. So that's all good there. Now, if we look at Shockley,
Oh, oh, okay.
and if I hover in this corner, I'm at 2448932, 23537. And if I over here, I'm at 348, 932, 537. All right, so those are the right coordinates there. Now,
Why is it on the very top line? Why does it say hertz?
coordinate file.
Okay. Well, we don't want it in that coordinate file, do we?
No, we're not. Well, I mean, we're not using it, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm just gonna put it, just call it that. It's a file called empty.crd. So right now there's nothing in it. So, and again, remember, I'm in the location inset. I'm not in your Shockley file.
Right.
I'm in this location inset, and I'm gonna make sure that it is pointed to the right. We're in Shockley. There it is. Yeah, okay. All right, so now we had how close together are these projects on the ground? They're not,
They're one's at the top of the mountain and all the way, the other one's all the way down at the Shenandoah on the other side of the Shenandoah.
so that quad sheet should definitely show a radically different place. It's not just
Oh,
slightly
yeah.
off. Yeah, okay. So
Miles
now,
apart.
yeah, so why did this happen? If I'm in Shockley, yes, data, new. So here, select this, I'm gonna be new. I'm in Shockley, yes, data, that's fine, open. Yes, all right, so that's now set. Yes, topo, draw in the background. All right, that should be fine. We go from here to here. And we'll call it this and let it overwrite. I don't know, Mike, why that happened. If it does again, I'll show you a little workaround. It could be that it's caching that imagery. So the solution will be, we're going to switch back to the world imagery. Let that run, select that file, delete it, and then run this one again to see if that clears the cache. Nope, still has a problem with it. All right. I'll just do a little one so it doesn't have to bring so much data down. And that should be enough for you to verify that it's coming in the right place with that one. All right, does that look correct?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll finish that command. We'll select this and get rid of it. And then we'll try this NGS again. Just for yucks, we'll give it a new name. Just put a -2 on it. Let's see. If that's the case, that's rather unfortunate. I think what the intent from the programmer's perspective was to try to cache the data so they don't have to keep downloading it over and over again. But that was improper thinking, if that's what caused it. The other option might be that we have to, save our files, get completely out of Carlson and come back into it all over again, but I hope we don't have to do that part. We shouldn't.
We shall see in just a moment.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
see, it's a little better. All right. Now, what I would do is, first of all, hit enter to finish the command because it's asking for another bounding box. All right. Now let's go over and borrow that word. Well, first of all, let's hatch our property. So let's choose draw, hatch, which is there you go, just standard hatch. And you see down at the bottom of the middle column, there's a thing that says inherit properties. One more down, it says inherit property.
Yeah.
Click on that and then click on that gray one off to the side. On the gray. Not the pink, but the gray. There we go. Now go up and pick inside your property. In the middle and click. Okay, never. Press escape. And choose well, first of all, down it didn't carry the transparency. I'm looking at that. We want to put that to 25. And then I'm going to select these entities. I'm going to see if this is not closed. I suspect it's not. All right, it was not. So there's a little gap somewhere and it's not closed, so I'm going to close it. Now you hatch. I don't know why that doesn't come across, but now instead of picking internal, we're going to just select the boundary itself. There it is. And that should be all we need. We're going to select the boundary and make sure it is draw order to the front. And then go over there. Now grab that word site and drag it up to place or yeah, the M text. Well, press escape. You've got the other one selected already. Yeah, just select the word. There you go. Now grab that middle dot and you can or you can do it that way too, either one. You got it.
Oops.
All right. Go there and just click on it and grab the dot and just there you go. Perfect. And now click off to the side or press escape or something. You'll see it show back up. And let's see. Let's do, I think actually it's below the hatch. So we're going to have to select it and put it on the front. There we go. Because It was below the hash because it was created before the hatch was created. That's why it's there. Now, you've got everything you need. You can zoom out a little bit and get rid of that other stuff on the side that you don't need anymore if you'd like. That not that you're going to save that, but
This stuff,
yeah, just try it again, but there you go. Do it as a crossing. Now just delete that and save this. Now back into Shockley drawing. And let's attach that file. No, go back to the model space. Remember, we're going to do this and then move it. So we're going to just XREF that file.
oh, it's gonna end up over that, okay.
Yeah, and then we're going to move it right. And I would take that one out, select that one and detach it because it's attached from the previous. So detach that. Now right click and attach. Make sure you're in Herbst right now. So and that's going to probably be the biggest danger, is that you're going to be in the wrong folder when you go to attach. All right, so 0,0. And then just enter all the way through to the command finishes. Now close that. There you see it, just select the edge of the image. And now move and drag it off somewhere out of the way. Sufficiently to where, you know, if you're going to be putting other nomenclature there around it. So yeah, just wherever it needs to go. Okay. Now let's go back to your survey plat. Now go up there and get rid of that.
Thought I got rid of that once.
Well, you're in a different file now. You're in Shockley.
Okay, yeah,
And change your location map 1 inch equals. We're going to make that 2000. You got an extra space after the equal mark that you don't have before the equal mark if you wanted to either take that out or put one on the other side of it. Either way, that's fine. Now enter to finish that command. And now we've got to work on the viewport. So we select that, unlock it. And I would, before you even set the scale at this point, just double click inside it and do a zoom extents and get it centered up. Up, go back to the top. Double click inside that viewport so it's active. Now zoom extents. All right, now drag it sort of, or you know, with the pan. There you go. Use the middle button on your mouse and drag it to sort of in the middle. All right, so that's probably good. Now double click outside the viewport so we can select the viewport again. Select it, the red, there you go. And now let's start setting the scales up. So, no, it didn't select the viewport. Try it again. Okay, now over there where it says you can get a shortcut or you can get a quick handle on this instead of trying to set all those customs and standards. If you change your annotation scale, it typically sets those others for you as part of that process, but then you can make them independent later. So it's probably all the way down. One, there it is. And see how it set those other ones now?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to need to center that up. So Yeah, right there is good enough. Now double click inside the viewport. Remember, it's still active or still unlocked. So be careful. There you go. Drag it over to where you don't see any white around the edges, up a little bit. There you go. Now double click outside before you roll the wheel. Select the viewport and lock it. Okay, and I don't know if you need to name the river. Or
Yeah,
does it-
I'll put the river in there and I need to put the road name in.
Yeah, so you can do all that. Now, when you do that, you can either do it here in you can either do it in, in paper space, in which case you would be picking, oh, that's the extra. Okay, never mind. Where you would be just putting it in paper space and just floating it over top of this, or you could do it in the model space. But remember, this is an XREF file, so you'd have to go back to that file, and then you would put the word Shenandoah over here. In fact, I think what I would do, because you're going to get part of that AH within that anyway, but we're going to bring it up here. And would maybe do a little trick here, Mike. Let's see here, and then here, here. I'm going to turn that into an arc. And then maybe actually, I think I'm gonna put that more like that. Yeah. All right, so now we've got that as a little guide point, and then I would say let's do another piece of text, but we're going to draw text along an arc, or let's see, or on a polyline. Let's try that. And we're going to call that just Shenandoah. And we're going to make this, I don't know, what is it, point, maybe 1.5. I'm not going to offset. Put it on label. And style, we don't, all right, we'll keep it standard for now. We'll add it. Line on the line. Say okay. We'll pick this. And now let's slide it back to here. All right. Now, to get that to match, we're going to create a new text style. And that's going to, we'll just call it river. And I think if we use, have no idea what that would be. Yeah. Times. Well, let's just try times New Roman first. 1 times Roman. It'll be italic. It's not exactly right the same, but we'll see what it looks like. And we'll say, okay. And so we'll select this, change its, say select, crap. All right, let's, instead of doing that, we'll do it this way. I forgot, you can't, it's not a piece of text after you do this, it's a block, so we'll have to do it again. All right, so that's going to be too tall and too wide. So we'll do it one more time. We're going to set the height down a bit, and on the line that should be okay. Set that to 0. Pick our polyline. Bring it back to there. Still needs to be just a little bit shorter. So instead of 0.12, let's just try 0.1. Get back to that. Oops, yeah, that's good. And we'll bring it back to there and be done. We can now get rid of that. And if we take this and just move it a wee bit to, let's get it to where it's over there. And now we're going to rotate it a little. Say from here, we're just gonna, so we're gonna have to move it again. So. All right, so without making a big to-do of it, if we save that, oh, did we want to label the road?
Yeah,
All right, and that would be which road? This one down here.
that one down there.
All right. Now, in that case, in that particular instance, you could probably just get by with drawing a piece of text. But
Right.
it's smaller than that, so I would say let's just draw text. We'll do a standard text. That's gonna ask us for the ground height. Let's see, let's draw the text wizard. Text wizard.
Bloomery Road,
What's that?
Bloomery Road,
Bloomery,
Road.
like that. All right. And text rotation will be a picked angle, and the size is going to be 0.08 or something like that. I think that's good. We'll say okay. And if we pick like right in here, and you can barely see that line, but you see it's so there it is there. I can now actually let's make that 0.06 even, and let's move it that. Okay, so that's good. Do we need anything else that might be an intersection that would be recognizable, or do we need it?
No, I think that's good. I think it's pretty clear
Okay.
where it is.
All right, so now I would go ahead and save this file. So go to your save icon there and save it. All right, so now once it's saved, when you come back to Shockley, you see this down here in the lower right?
External reference file changed.
Yep, and you see the option down there?
Yeah.
So we just click reload. And now
Okay.
you can see Shenandoah River, Bloomery Road site. And as the English say, and Bob's your uncle. So
Oh, that's a question I have for you. Remind me how I adjust this viewport so I can get the rest of the
get more
property.
of it in there. Yeah. All right. So just like a, I mean, right now it's a viewport that it's a rectangular viewport.
Right.
So we can't, I don't think. So I can't. Yeah, I can't add, I can't add something to it. So what we need to do is actually probably create a new one. So we'll leave this one here for just a moment. Now it's on a layer called viewports up here.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going to set or sit for our current layer viewports. And now we're going to just draw a polyline and we'll draw that 2D polyline, use the current, and we'll say, okay. And let's see, we'll go from here to say here, we'll keep coming down a little bit. Come over to here. Now we can adjust this later as we go up or as if we need to. And then we'll say the nearest, we'll come into here. And then I'm gonna type C to close. So now I've got this as this closed. I want that to be my viewport instead of this to be my viewport.
Right.
So we have to do that. Right now it's just a polyline. So we're going to say, on the view menu, viewports, we're going to create a model view viewport. And so now here's all kinds of different controls, on and off, fit, lock. We want to go E for entity. So if we said E for entity, now we select the entity that we want to clip the model space. There it is. And it now is a viewport. And it also keeps the polyline with it. Okay, and that's what we're after, so that we can change that.
Right.
So now this guy was what, 1 to 200. If we match, I don't know if this will work. If we match this to this. No, it didn't. So, oh, one thing I see up here, by the way. See that line right there?
Yeah.
That's that blue line
Okay.
that we didn't freeze. Now you can do it two ways. You can come back to here and freeze it, or in here, you could double click inside it and then freeze that layer, which was called the clipping. So we're going to find the inset. I, looking for the letter I. Come on, let's see here. What was it? Is that? layer. Let me see. Oh, trim, not clip. So trim. So inside of here. Okay, oh, it's location, not, it's an L, not an I. Okay, great. So now I can, you know, freeze it globally here. I don't need it in that reference, or I could have come over here and frozen it in the current viewport. Either way, and so now it's gone out of there. You don't see it. So, yeah, just something to. And I would maybe do it that way. I would keep this. I wouldn't worry about trying to freeze this in these little files because you'll forget about them. Wait until you come over here and freeze them there. Probably the better approach. Now, so we need this to be a 200 scale. Let's see if I'm gonna find the right viewport. Why is it? It's not selecting. Yep, so it's there at 200 scale. Now, if I take, if I'm inside of here, sorry. All right, select the viewport. I'm going to unlock it. And I'll double click inside. It's zoom extents. All right, so you've got some things over here outside of this. Is this all that we have?
As far as I know.
Yeah, so I just did a zoom extents there. That's okay, that's good. So back to here, and back to here. Okay. All right, so there it is, sort of. I'm gonna sort of get it sort of centered. I'm gonna select it. Don't know why it's not selecting. I'm having to cross it and it finds it that way. Oh well. And I'm gonna now change my annotation scaling to 1 inch equals 200, which should have, it did not set this one 1 inch equals 20 feet. There it is. And now I'm gonna just sort of eyeball that down. So that's sort of there. Now, I used that one, the old one, to be able to reference. I don't need it anymore. I'm just going to select it, get rid of it. And if I move this a little bit, again, I'm having to cross. All right, so there's that. Now this one, if we select our polyline, and let's add a vertex right in there. I could even remove that. I'm going to stretch this one a little further down so we see all of that. And you can tighten these in as much as you need to tighten in. And but again, if you're trying to pick up annotation from the model, make sure like right here, you see, you would either need to go into the model and then move that annotation here or open up the viewport. Yeah, do that. Yeah, I didn't want to move the point. I just wanted to let's do that. What did I forget to do, Mike?
Lock it.
There you go. All right. So yeah, so if you need something that's a different shape like that, you have to draw the polyline first. And then if you've run into this, if it's not allowing you to select those, because the viewport was built on the polyline, if you just select the polyline, then when you do this, the viewport goes with it. Okay,
Okay.
so now here's a, and there's another way if you want to be the same distance all the way around outside of it. If you just say standard offset through, oh, wait a minute, let me get in the model. If I did a standard offset, if I go from here to say out here. All right, so that's a polyline that's out here in model space. You can see it right there. Okay.
Yeah.
If you were trying to do this and you wanted that to be all the way around, I'm going to take this, I'm going to do joint nearest. I'll pick a distance here. I'm going to say fill it with 0 and see if that'll let me do it. I guess I have to just do a standard fill it. All right, so now that being that standard offset, but it's in model space. But if you're in this model space and if you type CH space, change space, select an entity to either copy from one space to the other or move from one to the other. Move is what we want in this case. And I'm going to select that right there. I'll hit enter. Select the target viewport active. So we're going to just set over here on the outside and hit enter. And now that is a polyline in paper space that we could use to set a viewport with, just like, I just drew it, which was fine. But sometimes if you want exactly all the way around, you can set those up that way as well. So just an alternate way of doing it. Do it in the model, offset your stuff, whatever you want to use, and then do a change space so that it comes over into paper space. And, that'll keep you from having to redraw a bunch of stuff if you need that kind of thing. But this should be sufficient, right?
Yeah.
If you need any more, you're just going to select the polyline and just, tweak on these corners.
And you couldn't move that original polyline because it was rectangular?
Correct. It was a rectangular viewport. That's right. And it was a viewport by itself. So when we made this new viewport, turn those off. There we go. So when we made the new viewport up here on the viewports, create, we chose E for entity and it let us pick the polyline, and now they're coupled. If you say polygonal, that's how that other one was done. And you draw a polygon, and it can even be non-square, but it's still just a viewport. So if I did a, I did another one real quick, viewports, great model view. And if I say polygonal, it says enter to use the last point for our start of a polyline. So I would do, one here to here, to here, to here, to here, and then maybe close. All right. Now, when you do it that way, you see it's also a viewport and a polyline.
Yeah.
So that would have also worked if I just clicked my way around it. And then because it was built with that, you see it recognizes there's two things. That's why me clicking on it doesn't, if I do this and choose viewport, it doesn't select it. That's why I have to do a crossing so that I get or I can click on it and choose the polyline that defined it. And then I can do this and it goes with it. Okay.
Right.
So there's that. Get your little red thing down there for your legend and but yeah, and up here and make sure, you know, if you need to move those things around, those labels. See, that was the whole, I moved the whole point. So what I really should have done was just moved this, you know, and put it up you know, however you want it. So you when you select those, if you move it from here, you're getting the whole point. But if you move it from the grips that are on the actual attribute, same thing here. If I move that attribute up like that, it's going to reposition that attribute. So that's the very same command. If you go to the points menu and you say move point attribute,
Yeah.
you know, so that, you know, those are how you can do those. So
Right.
anyway, and there's one of those things, if you want the wipeout in it, you know, so you know how to clean all that stuff up. I'm not gonna waste your time with that.
Let me ask you a question about this.
But this, the bar scale.
Okay, it worked. The other day, I was trying to change it here and it was not working.
Okay,
I had to go onto the drawing itself and do it, but now it's working. Oh, shouldn't have closed it yet.
right. Yeah, and you can put little footmarks at the ends of those if you want, I mean, as well. You know, whatever you want that to be, because you're just basically typing a label for each of those. And then that one's gonna be whatever. And then set your first 200, put the foot mark on it so you're consistent and
Zero, get a foot mark.
no, generally we don't put one there, but so there it looks good. Now, your question that is hanging in the air is what caused that to not work? And my answer is I have no idea. So, you know, and if I say that with enough conviction, you'll think I do. Anyway, so
Okay, well, thank you, sir.
you are most welcome.
Don't
Yeah,
forget to send me the video.
I will, yeah, and check in with Chuck, just make sure he's good to go with what his stuff is, and
I will do that. I will send him a text right now.
yeah, so and I don't, you know, I'm not looking for any kind of affirmation on that, other than I don't want him waiting on me to get back to him if that's what he's doing. I'll be glad to if he needs, but he should be good to go. All right.
Right.
All right, sir. We will put a plug in it and I'll send you the links.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
You bet. Take care.
You too.